From the News Channel 5 Network and AARP, this is AARP Connected.
It's a great day to be connected. Hi, I'm Mia McNeil, your host, and welcome to AARP Connected, a show created to share, inspire, address important issues, and empower you to choose how you live as you age. As we do in each episode of AARP Connected, we will explore a topic that impacts all Tennesseans, and especially older adults. Today, we'll discuss an issue that sooner or later impacts all of us, Social Security. In just a few minutes, we'll have a special guest joining us, an expert who will share the who, what, when, and how about Social Security with us. But before we get into that conversation, we like to kick things off with a segment we call Things You Need to Know.
Voice cloning, when a digital copy of someone's voice is used, is one of the latest artificial intelligence tools scammers use to steal money and personal information. Here is how you can avoid being scammed by AI voice cloning. Stay calm if you get a frantic sounding phone call from someone claiming to be a family member or friend in trouble. Pause and take a breath and consider if it's plausible it may be them. Hang up the phone and call or text the person to make sure they are okay. Choose a safe word or phrase your family can use in a real emergency. If someone claiming to be a family member calls in a panic and doesn't know the word, it's most likely a scam. If you don't have a safe word, ask them a question that they would only know the answer to. Don't always trust caller ID because technology has made it easier for scammers to spoof any number. For more scam tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Saving for retirement can be challenging. Increasing the amount you save can be even harder. Here are 4 ways you can boost your retirement savings, adding financial security later in life. If your employer has a matching retirement savings program, make sure to sign up. It's one of the easiest ways to build your retirement nest egg. You can set up the amount you want to contribute as a direct deposit each pay period. Save part of a raise or bonus toward retirement. In most cases, you can set this up to happen automatically, making it easier to accomplish. Prioritize this savings goal over all others. If you need extra funds to pay for big-ticket items, consider tapping into other resources rather than your retirement savings. Free up extra funds to add to your nest egg by trimming expenses. This might be easier said than done, but every little bit helps. To learn more ways to save for retirement, go to aceyourretirement.org.
And finally, are you ready for retirement? An recent AARP study has revealed 1 in 5 adults ages 50 plus have no retirement savings, and more than half are worried they will not have enough money to support them in retirement. Fortunately, lawmakers around the country have taken notice, and there are several proposals on the table to make it easier to save for retirement. Check out aarp.org/givingback to learn about how AARP can help. It's never too late to take action and start saving. There are 168 million Americans currently in the workforce, and eventually we reach the point where it's time to step away from our jobs and retire. For me, I'm looking forward to lots of books and afternoon naps, but I digress. There are a lot of things we need to know about retiring, and Social Security is a big part of that. That's why we're fortunate to connect with our expert, Steve Richardson. Steve has more than 40 years of experience working for the Social Security Administration. He began his career with the SSA back in 1982 as a claims representative and finished his career as a communications officer. He's officially retired, but Steve keeps busy delivering countless presentations, seminars, and interviews to help folks understand how Social Security works and why your decisions about Social Security benefits will impact your retirement future. He's basically a walking Social Security encyclopedia. Thanks for being here with us, Steve.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background and your relationship with AARP.
Yeah, you pointed out that I had over 40 years of working for the Social Security Administration. And what I found early on in my career is this is a government agency unlike any other, really. There are over 1,300 Social Security field offices across the nation, and these are bricks and mortar facilities that people work in. And what you're finding in a lot of our local Social Security offices is they're people who live in the community, work in the offices. So it's a dedicated, bunch of people. This was my experience of 40 years working for the agency, and with the common cause of administrating the laws of the land regarding Social Security and assisting people in all programs that Social Security does offer. My connection with AARP as a communications director over the years, I'm from the Northeast, and there's a very strong AARP presence in the Northeast, and we had over the years, I personally, as a communications director, had done a number of functions with AARP representatives and found them like-minded people, service-minded people, goal-oriented organization. So it was kind of a natural fit for me to sort of gravitate after retirement, towards a group like AARP, and I feel like it's the best thing I ever did.
Wonderful. So tell me why you are so passionate about this program dealing with Social Security.
It's vitally important, and what people have to realize with Social Security, we deal a lot with, I dealt a lot in my profession in the Northeast with a good example, and I always use this, was working with financial planners, and I would often pick their brains and say, what are you finding from your clients? What are they asking you about Social Security? And what the constant theme was, and I would always bring this back and place this within our speeches and the way we would communicate with people, is that people tend to look at Social Security in isolation. It's out there. It's something I'll get to. I know it's there for me. 6.2% of my salary matched by my employer. There's a good chunk of money in there. I'm going to get that. But I'm not going to think about that right now. And what the planning industry urges people to do, and what we would do in our communication messaging was, look, bring that Social Security in isolation into your overall discussion about how it fits into your retirement portfolio. Because at the end of the day, to the average wage earner, Social Security represents about 41% of your pre-retirement income. It's just one piece of the pie. That 41% is extremely important once you hit and move into your retirement years.
My goodness. Well, I can already tell that this is going to be a really, really good conversation. Good. So when we come back, I want to learn more about Social Security and exactly what it is.
Sure.
So make sure you come on back. Welcome back to AARP Connected. We're talking with our guest today, Steve Richardson, about everything you need to know about Social Security. Okay, so we were talking a little bit about kind of the overall Social Security, but here is a very easy question for you. What is Social Security and how do we even get it?
Well, when it was signed into law in the mid-30s, to quote President Roosevelt at the time, it was to guard against the hazards and vicissitudes of life, right? To create this base, this guaranteed foundation that when one does hit retirement eligibility years, there will be something there for them. And as stated earlier, the percentages were over 55% of the elderly would live below the poverty line without Social Security. We know how important it is, and the program still stands true. The best way to answer the question, however, is you should step back and look at what Social Security is not. And what it is not is just a retirement program. It has evolved over the years. In the mid-30s, the retirement program is signed into law. In the late 30s, spouses benefits, survivor benefits is signed into law. In the mid-50s, Social Security disability insurance is signed into law. If an individual is younger than 62, can't work anymore because of a disabling condition of some kind, they should have the opportunity to draw what they've paid in up to that time. Hence, Social Security Security disability insurance. In the early 70s, the agency took up the charge and took a needs-based program called supplemental security income and enacted it into law. So a good, just to reiterate, good part of a question like what Social Security is first understand what it isn't. It's much more than retirement.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we know that Social Security is a valuable program. But what should our viewers know about saving for retirement?
Yeah, it's really the question of all questions. And I spoke of it in the first segment, and that is to have a firm understanding, I mean a laser beam understanding, that to the average wage earner, Social Security is only going to represent about 40 or 41% of your pre-retirement income. So you see the pies of what represents the savings, work, earnings, 401k, stocks, bonds, notes. Social Security is also just a part of that pie. So we have to have that understanding. And the key is when you bring it into your overall retirement portfolio discussion, it's important that you put the same energy and effort into learning the rules of Social Security, of which there are many. Just like you would, what are the tax ramifications of drawing down on a 401k? Who can I leave my 401k balances to? What about my stocks, bonds, notes? How do I set up a will? How do I set up a trust? What's the best way to go? These questions that you have to address in retirement, you should be putting the same energy and the same effort into understanding and tuning into a segment like this so you can get your hands around all the Social Security rules, so you can answer that all-important question of when. When should I file? What works best for me?
So I remember when I got my first job, and this amount of money was taken out of my check. I was 15. I didn't quite understand. But tell me how we contribute to Social Security. Is it just a flat rate for everyone?
It is. It's 6.2%, and it's matched by your employer. If you're self-employed, it's 12.4%. You pay all of it into the system. And a great way to track it is to go to ssa.gov, create an account for yourself online, ssa.gov, and start to review your Social Security statement every year. I would go out as a public relations practitioner and try to get people in their 30s and 40s. It's like, look, you have to look at your Social Security statement. Don't wait till you're in your late 50s, early 60s to do so. It's all about retirement planning. But what it does, and to answer your question, and really gets to the crux of it, is while you're younger, it tracks every dollar you ever earned. Your Social Security statement will reflect every single year, even when you were 15 years old, scooping the ice cream cone, right? And that FICA tax, you said, what is that?
Absolutely.
Right? But that's how you do it.
So we've contributed to Social Security throughout our years and throughout our careers. When can we reclaim that money for retirement?
Right. The current regulations say you can draw as early as age 62.
62.
Or you could wait till your full retirement age, and that's based on your year of birth. If you were born after 1960, your full retirement age with Social Security is 67. Or you could wait till age 70. So the earliest you can go is 62, or you could wait till your full retirement age, or any month in between. Or you could wait till age 70 to draw. And what happens to that benefit for every month you delay? It increases. In fact, for every year you delay collecting beyond your full retirement age, up to age 70, you get what are called delayed retirement credits, where your benefit rate can increase on average about 8% per year. On ssa.gov, there's an online calculator. AARP's website has an online retirement calculator as well, which is excellent. And what these calculators allow you to do is, the Social Security one, for example, you can type in future earnings scenarios up to 3 years, and it'll calculate out what your benefit rate is going to be. And when you couple all that information together and the fact that Social Security looks at your lifetime, your high 35 years of earnings to calculate your benefit, then you'll start to get a better understanding of how this thing works. But there's also other elements, like there's a FICA tax max. Once you earn over roughly about $168,000, they stop taking FICA from you. So you can cap out So there is a maximum Social Security benefit payable. It's just over about $3,800 a month if you were to have max 35 years of wages and you went at your full retirement age. So there's a lot of information I gave you right there, but where do you start? You start by reviewing your Social Security statement.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. So how can we be proactive about our Social Security benefits and knowing what we're going to pull down? You mentioned the AARP calculator. Are
Sure.
there other things that we should check out?
Well, AARP has a number of different resources. They're excellent that I've found in the last two and a half years that I've been working. And of course, you have the socialsecurity.gov website, which its entirety is this, and it's an award-winning website. And we go back to as a public relations practitioner with the agency, it was always, how do we get people to get online? How do we do it? We're not like, the agency wasn't like AARP. We couldn't give discounts at Macy's or, So what do you do? How do you sell it? How do you get people online to do the research, to create an account for themselves, and they must, to review their Social Security statements? And our sell would be twofold. There would be two reasons why you would create an account. One, education. You create the account to review your Social Security statement every year. The second is, once you have filed and are collecting in a post-adjudicative platform, it creates a security barrier that only you can take post-entitlement action, like change an address, like request a 1099, like replace a Medicare card, like change your direct deposit, things like that. So being proactive is understanding what is out there for you. And we would always, the biggest thing was, how do you get people on that website? Well, the sell is education and security. It was education and security. It was education and security. And the big thing about the Social Security office is the online filing, just to wrap up, it was imperative to us as an agency to impress upon the people how important it is to really grasp online and what's available online for you, because a lot of the stuff is easy: retirement benefits, survivor benefits, Medicare enrollment. So you can do the things you yourself can do, while the Social Security employees in the field offices can do the things you can't do.
Great information. And when we come back, Steve is going to tell us a little bit more about Social Security. I already feel like an expert, but come on back. Welcome back to AARP Connected. We have a few more minutes to talk about Social Security. I'm curious about the people in our life and who can collect on our Social Security record. How does that work?
Right. In the late 30s, some years after the original retirement law was signed into effect, spousal benefits and survivor benefits, that law was drafted and that law was injected into the overall theme of what Social Security is all about. Because quite frankly, it's not that deciding when to retire is an easy decision for everybody. You can go at 62, wait till your full retirement age if you want to work and collect. They restrict how much you can make. There's all these questions that you can ask yourself. The real question about deciding when to file is when there is a surviving spouse or a spouse involved. Because with Social Security, it is a social insurance program. So this is a true social insurance aspect to the program, which is spousal benefits and survivor benefits and disabled children's benefits, for example, going forward. So it's not just the retirement program. So surviving spouses of a deceased wage earner could file for benefits as early as age 60. Mm-hmm. And surviving spouses get enormous flexibility going forward. They can do things like they could draw the survivor rate as early as age 60, and if they were a working person themselves, delay the collection of their own till age 70 if they choose, growing their own, all the while drawing as a surviving spouse. Or the reverse can happen. You can at 62 draw your own, and then once you reach your full retirement age, you can switch and draw the maximum survivor rate payable once you reach your full retirement age. So knowing the options, knowing the flexibility that surviving spouses have, it's enormous. Children, disabled adult child's benefits are another couple of provisions that come to mind. If a wage earner had young children and passed away, children could essentially draw as auxiliaries through high school graduation or age 19. You know, generally speaking, whichever comes first. And then you have disabled children. If they're found, if Social Security can find that a child has been disabled prior to age 22, you're looking at continued benefits as a disabled adult child under the auxiliary program.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned continued benefits. So we've heard a lot of gloom and doom in the news about Social Security and whether it'll be there or not. And I know that the trustees just recently released a report about Social Security. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and well, let me just start by saying, I mean, once you're rolling into your late 40s, early 50s, this is a really good thing to pay attention to, this bit of news, right? Because what it is the economic health of the Social Security trust funds. It's a pay-as-you-go system. So what you had was, you know, you're looking at 2.8 workers for every beneficiary now. In 20 years, 22 years, it's going to be 2.2. Less people paying in. So this is where this trustees report and the dynamic really comes into play. This most recent trustees report says, beginning in 2035, there'll only be enough money coming in, essentially, to pay about 83% of benefits out. So in 2035, there'll only be enough coming in. It's a pay-as-you-go system, so it doesn't go to zero. What it does is it reduces the benefit. You'll only be eligible and will only be able to draw up to 83%. So the reality in the situation is will Congress act?
Yeah. Well, Steve, thank you so much. Appreciate all the news that you shared with us today. And if you'd like to connect with AARP, we have some fun community events coming up. At the end of July, we are co-hosting a virtual screening of Unhoused featuring personal stories and a look at why the solution to the affordable housing crisis is so important. Find out more at aarp.org/TN. Stay in the know on the latest AARP is doing in Tennessee. Connect with us on any of these popular podcasts, and you can also look at the podcasts on everywhere that podcasts are available. Well, that's all the time we have today. I hope you found our discussion informative and invaluable. I'm Mia McNeil. Thanks for being connected.